Good afternoon, everyone. It's Make a Move Mike, also known as Michael Harris of Realty Executives Dealing. I'm here with Andy Cruz of Mortgage Heroes. Today, we're going to discuss 5 tips to getting your offer accepted in this crazy seller's market where we're just seeing a ton of multiple offers on each home. So right now, you got low inventory, high demand. The multiple offers that sellers are receiving are driving prices up through the roof. So what's happening is a lot of buyers, buyers of all type, buyers of all finance with every financing option out there, VA, FHA, traditional, conventional, you name it, they're getting beat on their offers. Now, if you're stepping into this crazy seller's market, I want to give you these 5 tips. Tip number 1, hunt and gather. You want to hire an agent that's going to hunt. The hunt is basically where an agent like myself, you're going to have them, or they're going to look for properties that are coming soon before they hit the market, as well as just hitting the market that same day. You want to arrange for them to, or that agent, you want that agent to arrange for you to see that property as soon as possible, because what's happening is the homes are receiving multiple offers within the first 3 days, and showing times are about 15 minutes, so they're minimizing that as well. So you have a very short window that you can get in there and see that property. So you want someone that's constantly hunting for you, and when that property that meets the criteria that you're looking for in a home, your agent is there for you and setting up those showing appointments. Now the gather part is you want an agent that's going to reach out to listing agents who have that inventory, build rapport, find out what those sellers are needing or what special requests they may have. Like, for example, some sellers may need a rent back. Now, and what's happening is sellers that need those rent backs, buyers are giving them those rent backs for free. And I've seen it up to 60 days in some cases. That's personal experience on offers that I've written on behalf of my buyers and my clients. So you want an agent that does all that due diligence and builds the rapport with the listing agent first, so that when you write those offers, you already have a good relationship that's begun to being built, and it's going to help you out in the end. So another gathering tip that an agent can do for you is to find out if that seller needs a little bit more time to close. So I know in some cases I've written offers where the sellers they wanted who was able to close the fastest, and sometimes 21 days was as fast as we can get it done. There might be a case where you get it done sooner, but that was probably the norm. But in other cases, some sellers did not need to move in 21 days. Some wanted to stay in there, or they wanted a 45-day escrow period. So something to consider. Tip number 2, you want to make sure you're writing clean offers. No shortcuts or crazy requests. And by crazy requests, I mean, don't ask for a ton of repairs to be made or a ton of credit for repairs that may be needed after you get your home inspection back. And if you're in a position where you can pay your own closing costs, I highly recommend that you do that, because the 9 or 10 other offers that seller has, I guarantee that they are not asking for any closing costs in this crazy market. Tip number 3, offer some unique benefits to the seller. What I mean by that is, again, back to closing a little bit earlier than normal, 21 days, shorter contingency periods, things like that, shorter inspection periods, things that'll kind of give the sellers warm and fuzzy and make them feel comfortable and confident that you are going to close and do as you say you're going to do, as in accordance with the agreement.
And on the unique benefits part, this kind of goes hand in hand with that gather part that Mike was talking about. When your agent has gathered information that's specific to what the seller's needs are, you can get creative with offering unique benefits that meet them where they're at, or at least meet some compromise. So whether that does mean a longer or shorter period of closing time, whether that does mean some sort of special concession as far as a rent back, it could be an odd time too. Like, I need exactly 27 days of rent back. Like, well, okay, fine. Well, let's not make it 30 or 60. see, let's do exactly 27 days. So the uniqueness can kind of come coupled with some creativity based on knowing what you've gathered in that part of the process. So number one and number three go together in that way, and being creative is actually part of that in order to come to a compromise with the seller.
Great info, Andy. So tip number 4, removing appraisal contingencies. Whoa, I know I got my buyers, FHA, VA, whoever. They're like, whoa, what do you mean removing my appraisal contingency? Well, that's what this crazy market is doing to buyers. It's putting them in a position where sometimes they have to remove the appraisal contingency just to get their offer to the next stage of maybe receiving a multiple counter back. And sometimes that's just the difference. Now, the reason I say that is because it's a high probability that your competition, those 9 or 10 other buyers, have removed their appraisal contingency. Yeah. And this is something that I've recently experienced, and probably most other agents in this market have experienced as well. Yeah. So, and just to give you an example, let's say a home is listed for $600K, and let's say the offers that are being received on that home by the sellers are $650, $675, within that range. Well, more than likely the seller is going to accept an offer or entertain offers that are in that higher end of that range. And what this is going to do once we get into escrow, it's going to potentially create an appraisal issue. Now, if you waive the appraisal, it won't be as much of an issue, because here's the small caveat that I want to make sure I mention. If that home comes in at $650 and it appraises for $600, you've already agreed to come out of pocket the difference. So that's $50K. Now, I know a lot of people are like, whoa, wait up, Mike. I don't have $50K to come out. That may be the case, but what I want to do is give you or set the expectation that this is what's happening in today's market. Now, some people might only be in a position to offer $20K. That's fine. It may be the difference in you getting your offer accepted. It's not always the $50K. You got to do what's best for you and what's you're comfortable with. And now, just a bonus, when you do submit that offer to purchase a home, and you remove your appraisal, you want to make sure you show that you have proof of funds that you can put that 20, 30, 40, 50K out of your own pocket from whatever account it's in. And that way, that makes the sellers feel a lot more comfortable about moving your offer either to a multiple counter stage or accepting your offer. Now, tip number 5, submit a picture or a letter, a handwritten letter, or sometimes typed, may work as well. Some sellers get warm and fuzzy about that. Others, they just want the facts, the numbers. So, the picture or letter is good, but it's not guaranteed. So it can help in some situations where sellers, they feel like, oh, this person loves my home just as much as I do, so I'm going to take their offer. That's right. And I've had it happen to me on both sides of the transaction, where I was a listing agent as well as the buyer's agent. So it works, folks. I wouldn't be telling you if it did not. But then, like I mentioned, you have those sellers that they just want the hard numbers and they want the facts. And if your offer is not cutting it, that picture or letter might not be the difference. But I always suggest in doing it, because it may be the difference in you getting your offer accepted.
And there's an old saying, you probably heard it: people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Right. And like Mike's saying, sometimes it just comes down to the almighty dollar, the bottom line. Like, how much am I going to get? For some sellers, that's all they care about. Mm-hmm. But there are sellers who do take into consideration, who is it that's going to come and buy my house? I want to turn over the keys to this place to someone who will treat it just as well as I have. Someone who will use the backyard with their kids the way I use the backyard with my kids. Someone will have that pride of ownership and who needs that neighborhood for the school it's in, or the proximity to the work, or to the place of worship they go to, or the activities they like participating in. Sometimes that goes a long way. Yeah. And it may sound crazy, but people who care about that are sometimes willing to concede on price and take your offer because of who you are and who you're communicating yourself to be in relation to them, over and above maybe them getting another $10,000 more from someone else they could care less about, or 30 or 50,000. I mean, I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but we've seen this happen.
Yes.
And people will sell it. I've seen this happen specifically with active duty military and specifically with veterans. Veterans and active duty military, they're trying to sell their house, and they get a letter from another active duty member or a veteran, and they go, oh, hold on, I want to sell my house to that person because we actually serve in the same branch. Or they actually happen to be coming to San Diego in the same set of circumstances that brought me here originally.
Yes.
So you just don't discount any level of detail that might matter to a seller, because the seller is making all of these decisions, sometimes beyond the number itself.
Yeah.
They're including all these other emotional and what we might even call an irrational metrics, but they're still considering them, and that is a real thing.
Yes, it is real, and it's funny you mentioned that. I just had this happen recently, where the listing agent called me back that same afternoon after submitting the offer and say, "Hey, Michael, my buyers are active duty military. They really love that your buyers active or retired military. We're going to accept your offer based on that. We just need you to come up a few grand. It was, I believe, it was $5,000." And we'll accept your offer and move into escrow. We didn't move into escrow on that one because they got their offer accepted on another home that was a little less than that one, probably about $65,000 less. So they decided on the other home. But my point is, they were shocked after months of fighting it out, getting beat out on offers because they didn't have the purchasing power that they would have had in another market. They ended up getting two offers accepted on the same day. So it kind of blew our minds in together. We both were like, wow, this is crazy. But it does happen, like Andy mentioned. And so don't rule it out. Price is not always the be all of getting your offer accepted. So take that into consideration. And again, if you guys would like more info, you'd like to meet with us either via Zoom or in person, we can set that up fairly easily and fairly quickly. And if you need to reach out to me, you can reach me at 619-632-7259.
Well, thank you again for visiting us today and watching the 5 tips to getting your offer accepted. If you need to reach Mike or myself, you can reach out to us online, email us, leave a comment below, or send us a direct message. We're happy to help you achieve all of your expected goals in real estate and in mortgage. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.